Okay, for lesson 7, we're going to work on images and how to insert images within your HTML website. First page talks about using something called intellectual property, and it's essentially copyright and making sure you're using images that you're allowed to use because you're about to put them onto your website and create something with those. If you click this link right here, this Creative Commons overview, it gives you a great video that gives you a good kind of introduction to what Creative Commons is. And there's a lot of different places you can get these images, and it'll talk about those inside of the video. When you move on to the next bubble here, it's going to give you some of the basic code on how to insert an image. So over here on the left side, remember, these are your files that you have on your website, your index page, which is the actual web page itself. And then we have these two additional files. We have something called dog JPEG and then cat JPEG. Notice how the file names are spelled because that's important to get them exactly correct. Now, looking right here, we have the dog image over here on the right side. And it was inserted using this code right here, using something called image source equals, and then inside the parentheses, we have the exact file name that we have over here on the left side. And then they also use this alternative tag, which is if for some weird reason the image doesn't appear, it puts in at least these words called dog jumping. So somebody looking at your website could tell what the picture was supposed to be. So the directions have you go down here underneath cats, and we're going to go ahead and insert the cat image. And we see that over here is called cat.jpg. So I'm going to start with the tag img src, and a lot of times people will accidentally put in SCR. I've seen that as the most common way that students are typing in this code wrong, just mixing up the R and the C in there. So I'm going to click equals and then inside parentheses. And if you look, it actually on here is giving me a choice of files that are already uploaded. I could either type in cat.jpeg, or if I click on this, it'll just kind of do it for me, which is nice. And then I'm going to do a space and do Alt equals, and then what I want this to be, and this is going to be, a cat image. And that is, again, just simply what is going to appear, what words will appear if for some reason this actual cat doesn't appear. I'm going to scroll down over here. You can see this cat image appears. And because this file is relatively small, that's all the bigger this image appears. And that's all I want you to do here. Notice I did this all on one line, but you can, of course, put it on 2 lines like they show up here for the dog. I'm going to click finish, go on to the next one here. For bubble number 3, I want you to go in, and it's actually talking about what I talked about earlier, the alt, the ALT red sky here. So if for some reason the image doesn't show, the word red sky and this little kind of error image will appear. And it just sort of talks about that on here. I can see the reason that the red is not appearing right here. It says image source red.jpg, but if you go over here, that's actually not the name of the file. It's red_sky.jpg. They have to match exactly here to there. But this one just actually has you go through. It doesn't tell you to do anything with this. It just wants you to see that that is how it works. Go on here and go ahead and see if you can figure out which one of these codes are matched up with the different errors over here. And you can submit that when you think you have that matched up. And then under bubble 5, it wants you to go ahead and add an image. All right. So what I did was I went out and I found an image on Pixabay, which is a Creative Commons website where you can find lots of different images. And it wants you to find a picture. So I've already done my cat here of a different animal. So I went here and I found a bearded dragon. So I'm going to go ahead and go like this, and I'm going to H3 it so it matches what we've done here for the word cat. Bearded dragon. I'm going to end my H3, my header 3. Over here it looks right. And I'm going to upload a image of a bearded dragon. So I found it over here. I clicked download. It actually gave me kind of information about the person that uploaded this so I can give them credit if they want to. Although if I look over here, I'm not using it for commercial use and there's no attribution required. So I don't have to put it on there, but sometimes it's nice to do it. I did download it already and I'm going to upload it. So to do that, it says this button right here, you click add image. So click add image. It wants to know where the heck is my image. I'm going to upload it. I happen to know I saved it on my desktop. So I'm going to go onto my desktop and I called it Lizard. It did have this big, huge, crazy long name and I renamed it to just Lizard. That's going to make it easier for me to see it. Right there's lizard.jpg. It adds the .jpg for me. All right. And it refreshes over here on the left side. All right. Now, I'm going to then type in my image source, and I may need to refresh this. Looks like my code is not appearing for me. And get this refresh so I can get my HTML to appear. Sometimes that'll happen when you upload. All right, scroll down here, and I'm going to go ahead and put in IMG SRC. I've got a space in there, equals, and then in parentheses, it pops up right there. There's my Lizard JPEG, and it pops it in for me. I'm going to go ahead and Alt, just so that I have something that appears if for some reason that doesn't show up, and there's my lizard showing up. Now, if this image is way too big, there's a lot of different ways you can actually change that. You can add additional attributes, like we added the alt attribute here. We could also add a height and width attribute, but we'll get into that a little bit later, which kind of it talks about a little bit here, but on the next one, we will move through that a little bit further. Here it talks about what you should be doing and how you should be adding a attribute down here. If you wanted to add sort of the copyright information, it talks about how to do that on this bubble. And on bubble 7 shows you how it talks about how to give people credit, different ways to do that. If you want to link to the website, if you want to get a title of the image or the name of the person. Some of this is hard to find, but if you go to places like Pixabay or creativecommons.com, a lot of that is included already. And then as you finish out lesson 8 or lesson 7 rather, it's going to have you go ahead and add some images to your final web page here. Here's my hiking page that I started back on lesson 5. And I'm going to throw in some images here of each of these. It could be a map. It could be an image of the actual trail. It's totally up to you what you want to do for yours. Some of you might find a challenge finding some images, but I think if you search hard enough and go through Pixabay and places like that, you'll have something that will work. Hopefully that'll help you with lesson 7.